Good morning, guys. I'm going to do something different today. I'm actually going to take you along with me as I go look for another vehicle. It's time to get another one. I currently drive a GMC Acadia, and there are pluses and cons about it, but regardless, I need to get another vehicle. So I'm going to take you along with me. We talk about personal finance on this channel. I'm going to talk about what things you should be looking for when you go look to buy a car, and what things you should avoid at all costs. So ride along with me as we find my next vehicle. Okay, so we're gonna head on out to the first dealership. So I'll tell you a little bit about the current car I have. Was an SUV, and I got to liking the SUV. I had cars before, and I actually like being higher up. I wanted an SUV because I wanted a 7-seater, but I didn't want a minivan. And I was like, not ready for a minivan yet. I only have 2 children, but they have friends and stuff, and having a 7-seater gives a lot of space. So I like this car. This car is a little bit, it's a higher trim GMC Acadia Limited. Has the leather seats. I have the DVD player. It has the captain seats. I'll kind of show you in the back. The captain seats, so you can get 2 on the second row and then 3 in the back. Heated seats, air conditioning seats in the front for the driver. So that's a little bit of bells and whistles, which I like. And although, to be honest with you, my ideal car or SUV would be Range Rover. But I don't have Range Rover money right now. That brings me to the question. So everybody knows I'm a lawyer. And some people have a view of what lawyers should and should not drive as far as vehicles, what kind of cars they have, what kind of houses they should have. And to be honest, if you watch my other video about how much lawyers make, we're not wealthy just off of our income. And so that's why I always try to find other ways to make money. So, it also, if you notice, I don't know if people know this about millionaires, or just people who have money, what they say, new money is loud, old money whispers. So that means some of these millionaires are not driving the cars that you think they are. They're driving a regular car, and they're millionaires because they're making better use of their money. Now, I'm the first one to say I like the finer things in life, and I think that's an American thing as far as showing us that we have to have these fancy cars, fancy houses, all that kind of stuff. And you really don't have to have it, but I like it. I'm going to be the first to admit it. So on the journey today, I'm going to talk about how you should think about budgets and monthly payments and the credit score and all that kind of stuff when you're going to look for a car. But I'm also going to admit that, there's certain things that you probably would like to have in a vehicle, and it's okay. I don't think it's a bad thing. If you can afford it, then you can get the bells and whistles. So let's go. Okay, so the first stop I'm going to make is to see the Genesis GV80. And for those of you that don't know, Genesis is kind of like the luxury version of Hyundai, and they have just made an SUV. And I was doing my research before I started looking for cars, and I was looking for 7-seaters that were comparable to the GMC Acadia I have now. Because actually the GMC Acadia, the new versions, are only 6-seaters instead of 7-seaters. So they made them more sleek vehicles, but you lose space because they're sleeker. So I still wanted to find a 7-seater. It's not an absolute deal breaker if I don't find a 7-seater, but I wanted to see what the 7-seaters that were high ranked. And the GV80 was one of the better ranked vehicles. It's a luxury SUV. I had some doubts about it because Hyundais don't necessarily have a good reputation in regards to being a long-lasting vehicle. Honda is different from Hyundai. But I figured I'd give GV80 a try just to see, do a test drive. It definitely has some curb appeal in regards to, it looks expensive. Like, what is that vehicle? And if you didn't know that it's just a luxury version of a Hyundai, you might say, that looks like a something car, but it's not. But I want to check it out. It's a beautiful day outside, so it's actually a good day to kind of test drive. But I just wanted to mention, though, when I'm going to the vehicle, when I'm going to these dealerships, I always, in mind, when I go car shopping, I get pre-approved from my credit union before I go. So that way, in my head, I know that I could possibly be a cash buyer to these dealers. I don't tell them that, though, because if you tell them that, they don't want to talk to you. They want to get their money off of you from their financing company. I have Affinity Federal Credit Union. which is a New Jersey-based credit union, and then also have Navy Federal Credit Union, which is kind of nationwide. And both of them I got pre-approval so that I can say, okay, if I find a vehicle I like for the price that they approved me for, I can tell the dealer, okay, let's make a deal. The credit union would just wire them the money, and then I can walk out that same day with the vehicle without having to worry about going through the dealership's financing. I find this to be helpful because what it does is let me focus on the price that I want to pay for, versus when you go to the dealerships a lot, they focus on, well, how much can you pay a month? Don't worry about how much I can pay a month, because what happens is, I've seen this lately. Usually car loans used to be refinancing and you want to buy it, used to be 60 months, a 5-year car loan. Now they have stretched it to 72 months, which is 6 years paying for it. So it's taking you 6 years to pay for this vehicle. If you don't know already, as soon as you drive off that lot, your car depreciates in value. You don't want to be paying too long for a vehicle that is losing its value every year, every mile you drive it. So, yes, you can say, okay, they can get, how much can you afford a month? Let's say I can afford $200. You're going to be paying $200 for the rest of your life if you find an expensive vehicle because you didn't care about the actual price of the vehicle, the total cost of the vehicle. So I would say, don't get distracted by that. I feel like young people, not even young people sometimes, I feel like people who just are not educated about how money and finances work, they get caught up in the monthly payment thing. And this happens with houses too. I just want my payments to be this amount, but you don't want to overpay in the event that you just want to have a low payment, because the low payment can cost you more over the grand scheme of things. So that's the first tip I would say, is like, have that in mind. Now, if the dealership offers you a really good deal, you have some options, because sometimes they have they're going to definitely have their own financing company, and they say we can offer you 0% if you're a well-qualified buyer. So make sure you get your credit in order before you go there, because you want to be one of those well-qualified buyers, right? But if you go there and they give you a good deal, I would say take it if it's better than whatever the credit union is giving you, because sometimes the credit union might do 1.99% interest rate, and the dealer can give you 0.9, and you got the bottom line that you want, then it's a win for you. But you at least have some options. So I would say keep that in mind when you're going car hunting or even house hunting. Keep that in mind. So we're gonna pull up to the dealership. It's Women's History Month. I'm gonna show you how a woman can still negotiate, because I feel like sometimes salespeople take advantage of women because they feel like women don't know what they're doing. Not this woman. So in honor of Women's History Month, we're gonna see about this first GV80 Genesis, and I'll show you how it looks on the inside, outside, as I do a little test drive. And I'm not gonna buy anything today necessarily, unless they're talking the real numbers, but we'll see when we get in there. All right, let's go. Okay, so before we head on into this Hyundai dealer, I'm just going to make a mention about leasing cars. And I leased this car, and this is going to be the first and the last car I leased. I thought it was always a waste of money to lease, and I still kind of think that way. I won't go into details of why I went against my better judgment, but I don't think it's a good thing to lease vehicles. Well, at least not for me. For some people, it's a good reason. So this is what I would say. It's good if you always want to keep a nice, like a new model car. You can always get a new car, like leases are 3 years or less. So you can always keep a nice car. You usually don't have to worry about major maintenance on it because it's a newer vehicle. You can have like a nicer vehicle because it actually would cost you less to lease it than finance it. So if you wanted to get that nicer vehicle, it might cost you less money to lease it versus financing it. So that's what you're going for. Usually payments will be a little lower than financing if it's for, like I said, that more expensive vehicle. So those are kind of the pluses. The cons are you pay for 3 years or however many months you end up doing a lease for, and then you return the vehicle and you have nothing to show for it. Nothing. You basically rented a car for 3 years. And I would say that that's not what I want. Like, if I'm paying something, I would want to have something at the end of the deal. Now you do have the option to buy at the end of a lease. It's usually a balloon payment, or you can finance whatever the amount is. And usually you negotiate whatever the price is of the vehicle at the beginning, which goes back to my point about how you should always keep in mind how much a vehicle actually costs. Because you would negotiate the price of the vehicle when you lease it, you would lease a portion of it, and then the contract would actually say what we do at the end of the lease. And then you can decide whether you want to come up with that balloon payment, that's what they call the large payment at the end, or if you want to finance it. So then you can finance it, right? But then you might need 5 years. So then at that point, you would have financed this vehicle for 8 years. In my view, that's not worth it. So we're going to head on to, let me show you. Let me turn this around if I can. So we're headed into the Hyundai dealer, and I'm going to see what we can do here. I see some Genesis out here, the car ones, but not the actual SUV. So we're gonna go in here and see what they talk about. All right, I'll come back. So it's still COVID, so you know, even though our governor took the mask policy away, I'm gonna go ahead and put this mask on so that I don't die. Okay? Then we're gonna go in here and see what they talk about. I don't care what they talk about. Get out of here. All right, got the mask on. All right, let's see what we can get done today. All right. So, if you guys didn't know, Tiger Woods got in a car accident recently and totaled his vehicle, and the vehicle was a Genesis GV80. And after that, everybody's been looking into these Genesis vehicles because they're like, oh, he survived that crash. It was a crazy crash. He survived it. And what's up with this vehicle? So I'm going to check it out for you guys. So they're gonna let me test drive this GV80. It's actually not the version that has 7 seaters. It's the regular SUV. They're saying like it's a big deal now. Like especially after Tiger Woods crashed in it. They said they sold like 5 of them in one day because everybody's like, what was that he was driving? So they actually don't have the one that I was looking for in stock. But I still was gonna test drive it because it seems like a nice vehicle. You know, it has the leather seats. They have this different, let me see if I can turn it around. So this vehicle, the steering wheel is a little bit like a Chrysler. It's not nothing to call home about. But they have like the gear change is like a little ring. They have the infotainment center, touch screen. It seems like a nice little space in the back for the kids, and even the trunk space is pretty large. So this is like I said, this is the luxury version of the Hyundai. They still got to do a lot of convincing to me because it's a Hyundai, but we'll see what I believe he said the sticker price on this one for the 3-row one is like $71,000. So I don't know what it's for this vehicle. I'll ask him. Okay. So I actually forgot to go show the recording of me after I finished test driving it, but it was a pretty smooth ride. I appreciated the safety features it had. I appreciated the new technology that comes with it. I can see the appeal behind it. Like I said, other than the curb appeal obvious on the outside, there was curb appeal on the inside. I didn't stop there though because, as I mentioned, they didn't even have the Genesis in stock. That was actually the only one at that particular location. So he suggested I check out another one of the 3-row seaters, which was the Hyundai Pallisade. So let's check that out. So I'm test driving the Hyundai Pallisade. This one is $50,000 for the trim level. It has 3 rows, kind of like my Acadia now. It's captain seats, so the second row and the third row. It has about the same amount of space. It has a touch screen, and this is a new thing where they basically push the buttons to actually make the gears change. It has the double sunroofs like I already have as well. So we'll see. I'm gonna give it a test drive and let you know. Okay, so I didn't even expect to test drive that Hyundai Pallisade. And it drove pretty cool. It had some cool safety features on it. I originally, like I said, came here for the Genesis GB80, but I might be persuaded for something else. Hyundai might be changing their reputation from what they had before. I think the next thing I'm going to take a look at is the Lincoln Aviator, which is another 3-row, 7-seater vehicle. I heard that it's a little expensive to kind of fix the parts in it and stuff, but there's another one that has a nice curb appeal just like the GB80, so we're going to check that out. Ride with me. Okay, we're going to hit up Planet Lincoln to see about this Lincoln Aviator. I've never driven a Lincoln before, so we shall see if I like it. I know I've seen the Lincoln Aviator. I've seen a Navigator. I don't need something that big, but let's see if we can find the sales part. Check it out. Oh, there's the Aviator right there, that black one. Smooth. So this one is the Aviator. It doesn't have the captain seat. Well, it's kind of like fake captain seats because you really can't get to the third row you have to kind of reverse the seat, push it up, which is not that convenient, but it does have a third row. It's a little bit hard to get into this seat, but they have it. Let me turn around so you can see. So they have the captain's row. This little middle part prevents you from kind of going through the middle to get to the back seat. It's not that much room. It's just like my knees are right here. So a tall person or a daughter who's as tall as me couldn't fit really here. But I like the color. This brownish leather mixed with the black. Smooth color. So this is the Lincoln Corsair. It's a smaller version of the Aviator. I'm sitting in the back seat and gives more space back here. Looks like it's some good trunk space. This one, so the Lincoln Aviator I just got was $78,000, and then this one is $37,000. It looks like. So a big price difference, but you're losing a whole row of seating. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and test drive the Lincoln Aviator and the Lincoln Nautilus. The Aviator Reserve is about $60,000, and the Lincoln Nautilus is about $50,000 for the same trim line. So I'm gonna see what I like and come back. The Nautilus doesn't have a third row, so I'm trying to figure out if that's a deal breaker or not. The Aviator does, but it's kind of like a fake third row, so I don't know if it's a real comparison to what I have right now, but we'll see. And like I said, it's a nice day to do a test drive, so we'll check it out. Okay, I'm in the Lincoln Aviator. This trim model is $65,000. It's all-wheel drive, and it has the bells and whistles. I like the seat colors. I wouldn't have thought about the brownish seat colors. The car is like a dark blue, and has a brown seat It has like this little fake wood. I don't know if I care necessarily for that. But it has a captain seat. You can kind of walk through the middle. The third row is still kind of a fake third row. So 65 for this particular model. I think you go any higher than that, you're gonna get with the Lincoln Navigator, which is a little bit too big for me, and pretty much I wouldn't spend that much money, but we'll see about this one. This one seems pretty cool. I'm gonna take it for a test drive and let you know what it thinks. Okay, so I just finished riding the Lincoln Aviator. It was a smooth ride. I'll give it to you. It had little bells and whistles. I appreciated that the salesperson, a young black guy, I said, so tell me what are the cons about this vehicle? All vehicles have cons. When I asked the Hyundai guy, he said, the only con is we don't make enough of it. Sorry. Look at my face. But when I asked this guy, he actually said one of the cons is that the 2020 models of the Lincoln Aviator had problems with the button to push the door to go out the door. It would get stuck, and then people would have to use like the emergency release to get out. And he said that was on the first edition of that vehicle. And I appreciate him being honest about it, because I'm like, I want to know what's going on. Do I want to encounter that kind of problem, that inconvenience? Some of it may not be a big deal. For others, that would be, it was still under warranty, but them actually having to take it back there to get it fixed, I may not want that problem. So the 2021 models, they've actually done better with. And so I was like, okay, well, thanks for telling me that. And that's part of like in the car buying process. Some people are just salespeople. They just want to give you, they just want to make a sale. They won't really do a car that's right for you. But I kind of had a little bit of background and say, this is what I want, this is what I don't want, based on my current experiences. And how much is that going to cost me what I want? Can I afford that or not? So that's kind of the things when you're deciding whether you can afford a car, when you're going to buy another car, or if you decide to lease a car, deciding what's important, what are deal breakers or not. So I'm debating whether I want to go to the third dealer. I'm kind of tired, but this is part of all of the day's work. So I might go to the third dealer. I won't tell you, just keep watching to see what's the third option that I've considered on my list, to see if you can guess it. Okay, so the last place I'm going to visit today is the Jeep dealer. The Jeep actually has a new Grand Cherokee L, which is a 3-row vehicle. And I wasn't actually interested in Jeeps before. My friend has a Jeep, and a Jeep Grand Cherokee. And it's actually pretty smooth looking. She doesn't have a 3-row. That's a new for 2021. But I'm going to check it out just because it was on my radar and it hadn't been on my radar before. So we're going to pull up there and I'm going to show you what the Grand Cherokee L 2021 looks like for 3-row seaters. And I'll let you know about test driving it, the pricing and everything like that when we get there. All right, let's go. Okay, so we're going to Auto Nation. It has Chrysler, Dodge, Ram, and Jeep here. Trying to find out what the Jeep part of it is. But we're going to check it out to see. I don't know why I see any that actually has what I'm looking for. Let's see. Okay, so they don't have the GMC Grand Cherokee L, but they have the Dodge Durango, which is a 3-row seater, but it's only 222. And this one starts at, well, this one right here is the rear-wheel drive. It's $51,000. Then you have some other models that have leather seats and stuff that is comparable to what I have. So I'm going to go inside and see kind of what those are like. And he said mid to late this year for the Grand Cherokee. So we'll see if I can hold out for that if I really want that. All right. Okay, so they didn't have the Grand Cherokee L, but I'm going to test drive the Dodge Durango. The Dodge Durango that's comparable to what I have as far as features like leather seats and third row seating and things like that. It's $48,000. So I'm going to test drive that and let you know what I think about that. I may, if I'm still in the market for a new vehicle, come back towards June, see if they have the Grand Cherokee L, to see if that's something that I'm worth looking into. But for right now, I'm going to test drive the Dodge Durango. Hey, I'm already here. Might as well do that. Okay, so I drove the Grand Cherokee, the trim line. That was 49,000. It was okay. It was nothing to call home about. I like the features it has. It's comparable to mine. I'm probably more interested in like luxury level or close to that kind of level vehicles. But I'm open to it. He's gonna check out the Grand Cherokee L and tell me kind of when that's available and the pricing for that one. So I'll do that, and then I'll come back and tell you my final reviews of them. Okay, I'm finished my journey for the day at least. I tried out the Dodge Durango and I actually looked at the regular Jeep Grand Cherokee. Nothing called home about for either one of them, to be honest. The Grand Cherokee was 49. The regular Grand Cherokee was 49, I think. Or maybe that was the L. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, the regular Grand Cherokee was 49. So I'll decide. But I just wanted to be honest with you guys. Like, if you're on the journey for a car, like, you do your research before you go into the car dealership, so you kind of know what questions to ask. I kind of tested them to see, like, do you guys know about these complaints about these vehicles? What do you have to say in response to it? Give them a chance to say, like, don't say there's nothing wrong with the car. Please don't do that. Tell me kind of what you guys have done in response to some of the previous reviews of it. And then kind of letting them know, like, okay, I'm interested. I'm not going to do anything right now. You're not going to, rush me to anything. I want to see something that's right for me. So we'll see. I'll come back and do a video when I decide which one I actually selected. And let's see if you guys can try to guess which one, I picked. All right. See you next video.